What's up, Philosophers? Welcome back to Philosophy, the podcast with deep talks and dumb jokes. It is 6 a.m. on a Saturday, but I had to get in front of my computer and press record because my wheels are turning. And when the wheels are turning, there's no stopping them. And the way this happened is I woke up from a dream where someone sent me a text that was like, "I'm so excited for your live stream that's starting in 1 minute." And I was like, "What?" And I had no idea about it. And then I opened the link they sent me, and it's just like 20 of my friends waiting for me to do like a live episode that I had not prepared for at all. And like my little cousins were on there, so I couldn't make the jokes I wanted to make. It was a nightmare. But I decided, and it was also my birthday, and I knew it was my birthday. But I don't know how I knew it was my birthday. But I digress. I rest my case. Guys, forget about it. And I was just going to go for it, because that's just kind of who I am. And the thing that's been on my mind this week is the illusion of separation. I just wanted to do a light topic this week. But the illusion of separation is something that's talked about in Buddhism, in, I think, Christianity. But let's just focus on Buddhism, because Buddhism is the most simple to me. And they say that, like, the illusion of separation is what creates suffering, and actually life is just one. And to that, everyone's like, what? Like, this speaker is quite separate from me. That's why I can throw it up and down. And like, even like this part of my body feels separate from this part of my body. But if you zoom out, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. And the example I'd like to start with is the concept of, like, my life. I feel like when people are doing bunny ears, they do, like, my life. But you should really wait until what you're saying is over to end the quotation. So it would be like, my life. I'm also a little sick, but the show goes on. No pain, no gain, which we'll get to later. Okay, so my name is Wes, and I think most people think about their lives a lot. So it's like, I was doing this in my dream, so I'll just go with it. So, like, say this circle, can you even see it, is my life, Wes's life. And then say this is my brother's life, my mom's life, my friend's life, my other friend's life. And imagine if I did this for every person on the planet. It would be like a pretty big circle of mini circles. And what if we just, not like what if, but like I really don't think these like mini circles exist. I think there's just life. And I think that we think of my life because of like the ego in your mind. It's your survival instinct. And me personally, I'm pretty tired of worrying about my life. I'm pretty tired of worrying about Wes. I wish I could just live and whatever happens, happens. But I can't because of my old noggin that's saying, like, that girl hates you. And yeah, I don't know if we can really override this function, but I think remembering this stuff can be helpful. So even like this, saying this is my sweatshirt, like I filled out an online form. This guy took some of my money, which isn't even like paper anymore. It's digital that someone else is just keeping track of. Like, we've created this whole society. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. But let's get back to the example of my sweatshirt. You could call this my sweatshirt, or you could call this a sweatshirt. And here's the difference. Say I go out into society, which sucks, and someone's carrying a soda, walking down the street the opposite way of me, and at the exact time that they're passing me, they trip and they throw their soda all over me. And this is a super special type of soda where the stain will never come out. I'm so woke and enlightened that I don't think I'd be that pissed. But picture it was you. Picture it was so unwoke and unenlightened you. No, if this is like my favorite hoodie, if it got ruined, I'd be pretty pissed. But that's because I think of it as my hoodie. If I just think of it as a hoodie I've been wearing, I have no attachment to that. And that's something the Buddhists are real keen on, is attachment. And I think ownership creates attachment. Like, everybody has my house and my lawn. I just, criticized how people use bunny quotes, and then I'm doing the same thing. Excuse me. So how did we get into this mess? Well, I think it was kind of the natural progression of things. We were hunter-gatherers, and then after a while we figured out that we could grow food instead of catching it all the time, and that set us apart, just like these exposable thumbs. Also, we created fire, so with fire, and in my mind's going like, this is so stupid, but roll with me. So we could grow food, and we had fire, so we could keep ourselves warm, and we could grow our own food. And with all the time that we saved not catching our own food and growing it, then we just took over the whole fucking world. And now we can get Nutella and baby wipes shipped to our house, because it was just, we couldn't live with the inconvenience of having to go to the store. And that is my next point. We are really living in a society where it seems like our end goal is convenience. And we're literally heading towards how life is in WALL-E. And to me, it doesn't seem like we've gotten any happier. And what does that tell you? The big aha moment that I had in my dream was that comfort doesn't equal happiness. And what do we do with this realization? I don't know. It seems we're pretty far down the path of just trying to make our lives more and more convenient. And to be honest, I don't really see it stopping anytime soon. I don't think everyone in the world is going to listen to Philosophy and be like, oh, you heard the man. But I think it's just the realization of if comfort doesn't equal happiness, then what's the opposite of that? Discomfort doesn't equal unhappiness. What? I'll say that again. Discomfort doesn't equal unhappiness. And I think it's I think that's how we're wired, is to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. But I feel like humans, ever since we figured out that we could grow our own food, man, it's like we're transcending consciousness. I mean, transcending our biological instincts. Someone was saying monogamy doesn't really make sense. We are biologically wired to just spread our seed, if you know what I mean. And yet a part of us is overriding that and saying, no, love is more important. And maybe this is another way we have to override our biological wiring. It's also like if pain so we just kind of mapped out that discomfort doesn't equal unhappiness, and I feel like the goal of my life is for it to be perfect. And in that idea of perfection, there's no pain. But if there's no pain, I don't think there would be any happiness, because we're clearly, or at least not any more happiness, because we're clearly going down the road of trying to get more convenient and more convenient. And yes, things have gotten a hell of a lot more convenient, but we haven't gotten a hell of a lot happier. It's really so funny that WALL-E, what year did WALL-E come out? What year did WALL-E come out? Fuck you, Siri. This is so inconvenient. What year did WALL-E come out? WALL-E came out in 2008, and it's so funny how it like predicted the future, and we're just like not gonna do anything to stop it. We're just gonna go towards it anyway. Even though the future in that looked god-awful. Except for WALL-E. He comes across as a hero. But if you go back to my previous point, if you stop thinking about it as my life and my sweatshirt, it kind of makes it less personal. The only reason I'd be worried if this hoodie was ruined is because I consider it mine. Well, what if your life was ruined and you didn't consider it mine? And what I mean by that is if you can just see life as one big like show or movie or story unfolding and stop thinking about your little point of view, your little baby point of view, it's amazing. Like something smaller than like the tip of this pen exploded into the whole universe. And then I think what happened? Oh yeah, and then there were stars. I don't know where the stars came from. In the beginning there was no light, and God gave us light. In the form of stars. See, this is what I'm saying, like no pain, no gain. And that's why I'm pushing on through the pain so y'all can see what I'm saying. But seriously, I'm dying. And it'd be great if you guys could think about my coughing as funny and not inconvenient. And maybe it's just a little exposure therapy for you guys to practice and realize that convenience doesn't necessarily equal happiness. That maybe you'll look forward to my bits of wittiness and wisdom even more when you have to sit through my coughing. So how about that? So in the beginning there was no light, and God gave us light, and it was stars. And then the stars exploded and created the elements that then like condensed and gave us planets. And I think there's a heavy emphasis on I think here. And then fast forward a million years, there was like tiny organisms growing like beep, 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 beep. And he was thinking about my life too. And then those grew up, and eventually we had dinosaurs. And then depending on what you believe, either a flood came or a meteor came and knocked out, and maybe the flood's just metaphorical and it's talking about the same meteor, and it wiped out all the dinosaurs. And then maybe it was just Noah on his ark. I actually started reading to the Bible, and this is about the point I got to. So I don't know anything else how the biblical side of things views it. I also was talking about how with my supervisor about how Christianity and Judaism are pretty much like the same thing, just like Christianity includes one book that the Jewish people don't buy into, and then I also heard Islam is pretty similar. And it's like, why are we fighting? It's a similar book. Why can't we just appreciate it? And then in the beginning there was no animals, and then God gave us dinosaurs, and then took away the dinosaurs, and then gave us humans. And now we're here. And we started from like animals, and some people don't agree with that, but I think I do. We literally started as like monkeys, and then we evolved. I think we got like the thumbs. We created fire and figured out how to make our own food, and then it was over. It was wraps. We took over this bit. And we're transcending our animalness. We're transcending our biological wiring. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. And right now, America, it feels like scarier times than I've ever encountered in my short 23 years on the planet. But that's just when I'm thinking about me. And to that, I hear the question in y'all's head. It's like, how can I not take myself personally when that's my whole experience? Like, if I get my leg cut off, I feel that pain. And to that, I'd say, one, I didn't say it was fucking easy. And that's a joke, but it's not. Like, I think this is something everyone struggles with. It's probably a realization many people haven't even had. I'm just so ahead of the times and woke and enlightened. And number two is that maybe in that moment, that's when it's most important to remember this. Like, say you get too close to a train and your leg gets cut off. Instead of thinking about, like, my life is ruined, what about all the things that I wanted? Just think, like, isn't this leg coming off, like, crazy for the plot? And I know that's hard to do, but, like, do you want to be happy, or do you want to sit around feeling sorry for yourself that your leg is gone? And I feel like I too, it sounds like so noble and like I'm talking in the 1900s. I too am caught up in the notion of trying to make my life perfect. And maybe the solution is remembering that it's not your life, and maybe it already is perfect. Because the only reason it's really not perfect is because you have problems and because you have to go through pain. But as we just went over, pain isn't making you any unhappier. And also, well, I'll finish that point. So getting rid of it wouldn't make you any happier. So that can't be the goal, or at least it shouldn't be in my mind. And also it's not your life. It's just life. And I know that's hard to kind of wrap your head around, but maybe we should start trying. Because, like, okay, so if there's, like, any required reading for this podcast, it would be The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And if you're feeling real ambitious, the sequel, Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And that book, it doesn't explicitly say that in that book, but that was the book that really showed me that you are not your thoughts. And you're not even the one that comes up with your thoughts. You're just the observer of them. And it's like you don't actually see them, but you're just like the awareness of your thoughts. Like, when you're driving down the road, this happened to me more in high school than it does now. But everyone, I think, has had those like OCD or like impulsive thoughts where it's like, what if you drove off the road right now? Like, you didn't come up with that thought. You just became aware of it. And I know that it seems different with your other thoughts, but at least when I was reading that book, he made a very, very good point that it's not any different. And that voice in your head, like your thoughts, like run your whole life. Your whole life. And those aren't you. You're just aware of them. And you get so caught up in them that you think it's your life. And you live accordingly. Which leads to some unhappiness, but also, like, what would the world even look like if we... In this book, he says, like, you're just the awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and, like, your body and your outer world and your outer world experience. And it's like, how the hell are we going to move forward and live accordingly with that realization? Michael Singer, you ever think of that? And maybe there's this song on Spotify called Dream by Alan Watts. It's not even really a song. It's like some fun music in the background to an Alan Watts speech, and he was like a philosopher. And he says essentially like, what if life was like a dream? Or like, think of it as like a dream or a video game or a movie that's so good, that's so like perfectly designed that you forget it's a video game or a movie. I don't think y'all need to hear that again, but I'm going to say it again for me. What if life is like a video game or movie that's designed so well that you forget you're playing? Like, it's kind of a weird way to think of things, but I truly believe that I'm kind of just like a sim in the greater picture. And everyone's so caught up in like, what am I going to do with my sim? Should I take him to the gym? Should I let him watch TV? He's had a hard week. And everyone's so focused on that. But if you zoom out, it's just like this unbelievable creation. And maybe remembering that is the only, or maybe it's the best way for your life to be perfect. Stop taking everything so personally. Like, you're an evolved monkey on a floating space rock that's like only alive because this star happens to be perfectly distant from you. And that star is just one of a billion stars. Like, that's amazing. Stop worrying about like how your business report is going to go on Friday. Like, even if you get fired, that changes fucking nothing in the grand scheme of things. This is amazing regardless. Like, this hand is made of literally like elements that were created when stars exploded. I've spent my whole life wondering, what's the meaning of life? And maybe the answer is, what kind of fucking question is that? Like, life is amazing. Why are you asking why? And I think the reason we ask why is because of the pain and suffering we go through. And in my life, there's been a lot of it. In my life. Sorry, if you're just listening, I was doing like the bunny or like the quotations thing. But none of this would be possible without pain. And it's not making you any more unhappy. So can you just accept it as part of your life? And realize that it's not about you and it's amazing? Which is something I'm still struggling to do myself, but I don't know how long I've been recording for, but I'm feeling done. Thank you for everyone who listened. Please like, subscribe, or you can like rate it 5 stars on Spotify. I think that's where most people listen. But rate it 5 stars, follow it, like it, tell your mom about it. Tell your mom the guy who's recording it's really cute and has some really witty and wise things to say. And that it's been 3 years since Dad died, and she should really get out there, and maybe this guy's a good option. But yeah, thank you for listening. I love y'all. Peace.